Almost every area of self-care and beauty maintenance has quietly slipped past its due date, and it's time to reset. So for the next few days, we're going to be tackling all of this DIY style while saving a ton of money by doing it at home. We're going to do some sugar waxing, a fresh gel X fill-in, a much needed pedicure, blowing out my hair, and so much more. If you're new here, my name is Amaya. Welcome to my channel. We've got a lot to do, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Step 1 is our DIY sugar wax, and it's very easy to make. Grab a few lemons and squeeze those up. Measure out 4 tablespoons of lemon juice and set that aside. Along with the lemon juice, go ahead and grab 4 tablespoons of water to go along with it and 1 cup of sugar, and combine all that in a small pot. I like to cook it on medium heat, giving it a really good stir at the very beginning, and occasionally throughout the cooking process. I find that if you stir it too much, it takes too long to cook. You have to be patient for this part of the process, so stick by the stove and wait till it turns brown. Once it turns brown, you're good to go ahead and pull it off the heat and pour it into a bowl so that it can cool off. And as it cools, I like to stir it every few minutes just to make sure I'm not letting it sit for too long. I've been waxing pretty consistently this year, and I've officially reached the point where the hairs are so soft that you barely feel it. Like this most recent growth you see right here literally snuck up on me. I had no idea it was there. Now on clean underarms, I take some talc-free baby powder and apply that to the area pretty generously. I give one last mix of the wax and do a little test just to make sure it's not too hot for my skin.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And then I'll go ahead and apply an even layer of wax. For this first pull, I probably applied a little bit too much. My hair is longer than I've ever waxed before, so I think I thought I needed more, but I really didn't.
That's a lot. Oh God. Okay. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Oh, God, it's so long. I'm scared.
Now when it comes to pulling directions, I'm going to be completely honest. I do something different every time. I do not recommend doing that. If you're going to try this at home, definitely do your own research just to make sure you're doing everything safely.
Ready? Okay. Yo, stop, bro.
Now I normally do 2 pulls per arm, but this time I did 3 each just because I think I let my wax sit for a little too long. When that happens, you can just pop it in the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds, let it cool just enough again, and then go ahead and keep using it.
Yeah, that's way better. That feels way better. It was way too cool before. I didn't think about it except 3 real. Oh, I forgot to put powder. Dang it. Oh well, we're in there. When I felt that one. It's been a year of this. I'm seasoned, bro.
Once I'm finished, I like to take a warm washcloth just to gently wipe over the area and make sure I get off any excess wax. And after that, I'll take some pure cold pressed rosehip seed oil from Good Molecules, and I'll rub that in underneath each arm. This is supposed to help soothe any inflammation and prevent any ingrown hairs.
That's actually crazy. Wow, that's so cool.
When you wax, it's recommended to go 24 hours without using any deodorant. So I wait the full 24 hours before using anything there. And for cleanup, quick tip, just scrape out as much of the excess wax as you can. And if you run your bowl under some hot water, everything should wash away within a few minutes. Step 2 is going to be a gel X fill-in. This is only my second time doing a fill for gel X specifically. Normally I will soak off the full tip and reapply everything fresh. But recently I've gotten a little bit better on improving the retention of my nails, so I've been feeling more confident with doing a fill-in instead of a fresh full set. So right now I'm just getting out all the supplies I know I'm going to want to use for this set. This bag right here has been honestly a game changer when it comes to doing my nails. I used to get really messy with the process, so having this honestly takes away a lot of the stress because I know I won't get overwhelmed or overstimulated with having too much clutter around me when I'm doing my nails. Here's a quick overview of all the products I'm going to be using today for this set. As always, everything will be listed in my description if you're curious about specific brands or pricing. And this process, whether it's a fill or a full set, can be lengthy regardless. So I always have a couple of movies or YouTube videos to watch to keep me entertained as I work on my nails.
Intent to eat.
The first part of this process will be drilling off the current gel I have on my nails. So along with my nail dust collector, I like to wear a face mask and my glasses because I don't want to be breathing in any of that dust, and I don't want anything flinging into my eyes either. Now this is my current set. I did a chocolate glaze a couple weeks ago for a fall look. A little bit of that process is in a previous vlog if you want to check that out. But to get this off, I'm using a medium grit sanding band to drill off all the product all the way down to the tip. Now I'm using this specific sanding band because when it comes to the ceramic nail drill bits, I find those a little bit more uncomfortable to use. So this is just a personal preference for me. I know there are other nail drill tips to make the process a little bit faster, but I prefer this one. And I go really slow and take my time for each nail to make sure I get off all the product, but to also make sure I'm not careless with this tool. You don't want this to slip and cut your cuticle or your finger just from moving too fast. So I always take my time when it comes to this step, and I'm going to do this for every single fingernail. Once I have all the product off, I'm going to switch out this sanding band for a fine grit sanding band and use it over every nail again just to smooth over that surface. Since this is a fill, I'm going to go ahead and cut down a little bit of the length on my nails. When it comes to shaping, I am not confident in this at all, if I'm being honest. I try to go slow and do the best I can, but it is definitely something I'm looking to improve on. Now that both hands have all the product removed and are reshaped, the process from this point on is very similar to what I would do after applying fresh nail tips. When it comes to cuticle care, that's also one of those areas that I'm looking to improve my technique on. But we're going to go in with some Sally Hansen Instant Cuticle Remover. We're going to place that on every finger and let it sit for a few seconds before gently pushing it back with a cuticle pusher. I go very slow and very gentle for this because you can cut yourself with a cuticle pusher too. Something I've recently been experimenting with is using these little cylinder cuticle drill bits. So far, I've really liked using these just because they're practically painless and very gentle on the area. And I think this is one of those steps that's really helped me with improving the retention of my nails and preventing that lifting from happening when I get to week 2 and 3. Now the last step before we can get started with the actual gel polish is melting down these tips just to blend them into your natural nail. I take a flat brush and some acetone and I will brush that into the base of the nail until it looks a little bit more seamless so that you have a smooth surface when you eventually go in with your gel paint. We are officially ready to get started with this new set. Here's a list of the products I'm going to be using in order. We've got nail prep dehydrator, nail glue, a couple of base coat colors, a French manicure gel for the tips, a no cleanse top coat from Gelish, and lastly a pearl chrome powder. First, I'm taking some of the nail dehydrator and I'm applying that only to the areas where the tips have grown out. Next, I'm going in with some of the nail glue and I'm applying an even layer on the full nail. I'm making sure to go slow to not get it on my skin, but just as an extra step of precaution, I'll have a brush and some acetone on the side to clean up any of the excess that spills over. This part is very important because you do not want to cure any of these gel products on your skin. It's very bad if you do that. So you will essentially see me doing this after every step. It's a little tedious doing this after each step, but it's really worth it just to make sure I'm really not curing anything on my skin. After curing that for about 60 to 90 seconds, we're ready to go in with the first layer of the base color. I like to mix together 2 jelly pinks to get my base color when I do French tips. The first one is this very sheer pink, and once again, wiping around the sides, getting off any excess gel, and then curing for 60 seconds per the instructions on my specific polish. Next, we're going in with this peach pink color. Off camera, I actually went ahead and did an extra layer of this color just to make it a little bit more opaque. And I cured each layer for 60 seconds as well. And once again, we're wiping around these sides so we're not curing any gel on my skin. Now that our base is complete, we're taking this nail art palette and we're putting some of our white French tip color on there to dip into with our liner brush. I'm using a 15mm liner brush to draw my nail art, and I like to just start with one line down the middle, and then from the sides I will draw it up. It may take a few tries to get that line straight. I like to alternate between applying more paint and then using a brush with some acetone to clean it up. The design part is always where I take the longest, just because I don't have the steadiest hands, and I'm always wanting to adjust it to make sure I fully like the design before I end up curing it, because once you cure it, there's no going back unless you completely remove all the gel you've already applied and then start again from that base layer. Every time I finish one nail, I will go ahead and flash cure that for about 20 seconds, just so that it doesn't smudge anywhere in case I accidentally hit my nail. And then I will repeat that process for every finger. Once my French tips are complete, I cure that fully for about 90 seconds. And after applying a layer of top coat and curing that too, I'm taking a little bit of this pearl chrome powder and rubbing that over each nail. And then finally, I'll go in with one last layer of top coat and cure that fully for 90 seconds. And that's one hand fully complete. After finishing both hands, I like to go in with some of this cuticle oil just to bring back some moisture and hydration to my cuticle, especially after wiping it so many times with that acetone. So I drop a little bit onto each nail and rub that in. And then my last step is using some hand cream. I'll apply a good amount of that and rub it in, and that is the finished look for these nails. Okay, I think this is the first time I'm actually speaking in this video, because I had planned for it to be a voiceover, since it's more not necessarily tutorial based, but more walkthrough based, if that makes sense, because I'm not qualified to be teaching any of this stuff. I'm just showing my process. But it's the next day. Well, it's the same day since I finished my nails. I laid my head on the pillow last night at 6 a.m. Now, the time now is 3:20. It's taken me a little bit of time to pull myself together and set up all this stuff, but we're gonna go ahead and get into my toes. I don't even know what I brought out the mic, because it really should stay voiceover, but maybe I just want to give a disclaimer. Oh, I think I remember now. I'm gonna be cutting my toes off camera because, yeah, y'all know why. It's been a while. I've been saving this for this video, and it kept getting pushed back, and so you know how it goes. I'm gonna disinfect everything. Yeah, this is atrocious. I'm glad you can't see. I feel like I might even do the prep off of camera, just because my toenail prep or my pedicure prep, I'm really not all that confident in it. I don't trim the cuticles. I don't like soak my feet or anything. I probably need to get one of those little spa bath things to start like soaking my feet. And then what do you call that when you like scrape off or like sand off? Is it sanding? It's not sanding off. It's like scrubbing off the dead skin pretty much. I probably need to start doing that. But my goal for this maintenance routine this time around was to not spend any money at all. So literally everything I'm using will be like what's here at the house. I wanted to order some new lashes. I'm just gonna have to dig through what I have and use that. Like, I wasn't gonna order any new nail supplies, even if it was $5, $3. I'm just gonna stick with everything on hand, because then it's really free. Then it's technically like truly free. So what I will do real quick before I officially get started is find something to watch. I really only want to spend an hour on this, and then I'll probably switch back over to voiceover for the rest of it. It just felt weird starting this video and not even saying anything. Like, what? Dang, I kind of want to watch a Christmas movie, but I can't yet. I can't do it. Maybe I'll put on Coraline. I haven't watched that yet this season. Free on Tubi, okay. Say less. Last night I watched Hoodwinked. That is my favorite movie. That might be one of my favorite movies of all time. If you've never seen that, just go watch it. Let's not talk about how dirty my screen is. I'm gonna clean it soon. But yeah, I need to hurry up and do these toes. So I'm gonna do my cuticle prep, and from here we'll pick up with the process doing my toes. Very similar to my nails, just without the tip stuff. Let's go ahead and start. Okay, so I originally was not going to include any part of my cuticle prep for my toes, but I did end up trying a newer technique that I've been doing for my fingers to help with retention, and I'm hoping that it helps with that same issue of the gel lifting by adding this step too. So after I've let the cuticle remover sit for a little bit, I wipe it off and gently push them back with the cuticle pusher, and then I'm going to go in with the cylinder cuticle drill bit that I used for my fingers earlier and gently drag that around the base of my nail and over my cuticles, just as an extra step for prep to hopefully, like I said, get that gel to last a little bit longer without lifting. So I'm going to continue with the rest of my toes and gently drag that over each one, and then finish by spraying a little bit of alcohol on it and scrub gently with this little brush just to make sure the surface is fully clean before we start with any paint. Now the first thing I'm going to be applying is some Beetles base gel. I do an even layer over every single toenail. Even when you go slow for this part, it's super easy to get it on your skin just because you're working on a smaller surface area. So just like earlier, I do have some acetone and a brush on the side to go over all the surrounding areas of my nail. Even if it doesn't look like I got any on, I'm wiping just in case to make sure I'm not curing any of that gel on my skin. After curing for about 90 seconds, we're going to go in with those two base colors that I used earlier on my nails. We're going to go in with one coat of each of these colors, curing them both for 60 to 90 seconds in between each layer, and that'll be our base color. Once again, we're going to go ahead and use that same French manicure gel from earlier and that nail art palette along with an 11mm liner brush for our French tips. I prefer a curved French tip look for my toes, so I'm going to drag that up from the sides and try to make my line as straight as possible. If you can't get it straight, that's no big deal. What I mainly rely on is using that brush with the acetone to clean it up and get the shape I like, because it's honestly harder to get that thin arch of the nail with just relying on the brush alone. Once I finish that first layer of my French tip, I cure that for 60 seconds and then I go in with another layer just to make that line a little bit more sharper. And after that, I go in with the Gelish No Cleanse top coat again. This has been my favorite top coat that I've tried so far. It is on the pricier side. If I had to pick one, I would rather spend a little bit more for the top coat over the actual gel paint colors, just because you don't want your finished product to be dull or scratched or cracked in a couple of days, especially since you spend a lot of time on this. So yeah, the price for this, which was about $17 for the bottle, I have to say is very worth it for the quality and the longevity of the shininess in that top coat. Okay, I'm all done with my toes now. That took about 2.5 hours. I'm almost finished. There's just a couple more things I want to do before I wrap up the pedicure. First thing is this foot mask. It's the Skin Aesthetics moisturizing foot mask with shea butter and coconut. And they're literally like little booties that you put on and you let it sit for however long you want. I think the recommended time is at least 20 minutes, but I might leave it on longer. I bought a pack of these from, I think I got this from Marshall's. Pretty inexpensive. I think it was like $6, maybe $5 or $6 for a pack of 4 or 3. And this is my last one. So I'm gonna tear this open, and once we're done with that is when I'll put on some cuticle oil and rub that all in. So let's go ahead and tear this open, get them on my feet, and in about half an hour we'll do the cuticle oil, and that'll be the end of this pedicure. They smell so good. awkward length. I feel like when it's growing out, I haven't cut it in a while or trimmed it. Well, first of all, it's been in that bonnet for like 5 days. So that's why I look like this, but it's also at a weird length right now. So I'll probably try to trim it up a little bit, but mainly blowing it out will give me like a little refresh. Sometimes you just need to switch it up to let the curls bounce back afterwards. Yikes, it looks so dry. Oh gosh, it's so tangled. So before we get into the actual blowout, I'm going to go ahead and oil my scalp for about an hour or two. This is actually a homemade oil mixture that my mom made. So thanks to my mom for letting me test this out and use this. I'm going to part my hair into a bunch of different sections just to make sure I'm getting that oil thoroughly applied to my entire scalp. And in between each part, I'm taking this little shampooer scrubber brush just to stimulate blood flow and make sure that oil reaches any areas my fingers might have missed. Alright, my scalp is officially oiled. I'm gonna let this sit for probably at least an hour before I go ahead and start the process of shampooing and then blowing out my hair. I kind of want to put some on my ends too. I might do that and just rub that in. But I'm not going to show the process of shampooing and everything in the shower. I've done that before and it would just be a lot to do right now. If you want to see me do that, I've done that in a previous video, like actually showing the way I shampoo my hair. But pretty much I will include the products I use, the shampoo I'm going to use. I do 2 washes, split down the middle. I feel like I never get the proper suds or lather in every spot if I don't part my hair. So yeah, I will split my hair down the middle. I'll clip one side up and do 2 washes, rinse, add conditioner, and then do the same thing on the other side. And then I will use this for 1 wash each. But yeah, let me go ahead and let this sit on my scalp. It feels pretty good. Timer for 1 hour. All right, we got that going. I'll be back in a few seconds with freshly washed hair and we can get this hair blow dried and straightened. Real quick, I'm actually going to take off these lashes because I know I'm going to put some new ones on. If not tonight, it'll be tomorrow morning. We're going to take this lash remover and get these things off. The applicator just looks like this. It's like a little wand and I'm going to put them all over. Goodbye. Also, I don't want to deal with that. They're hanging on by a thread, but I didn't want to have to deal with that like in the shower. Because if something gets in my eye, if water gets in my eye, then it's over for everybody. Whole room getting lit up. Because why is there soap and glue in my eye? I probably have enough on, but a little more. Whole room getting lit up and I'm the only one in the room. That's crazy, right? Like, what are you talking about? I just like pinch my finger behind it and pull them off. Pull the glue off. And then I always fold to a new side because it'll just rub right back on your face and that's the most annoying part. Okay, now that these are off, I'm gonna wait the rest of my hour and we'll go wash my hair. Now that we're finished shampooing, it's time to go ahead and start the process of straightening my hair. We're going to be blow drying with the Revere hair dryer. I've had this thing for about a year now and I've loved it when I use it in this process. For our heat protection, I'm using the Canva blow dry spray. I usually use this as a 1-step heat protectant. I will part my hair and spray it in sections and brush it through just to make sure it's coated evenly. And as I'm parting my hair, I'm twisting it into little sections to make it easier when I use the hair dryer in a moment. So I work my way through my whole head, detangling and spraying that heat protectant, and then we can get started with the drying process. I find that parting in advance makes the process of blow drying with this specific tool go a lot smoother. My settings that I use it on is a level 2 heat and a level 5 tension, and I will work each section for about 60 to 90 seconds, and I'm going to do this for my entire head. This time around, it took me about 30 minutes to completely dry my whole head. Once I'm finished, I just brush through it and make sure everything's combed out. My cut right now is very crazy looking just because the last time it was cut curly, and I thought about trimming my ends a little bit, but I honestly didn't want to mess with it, so I just skipped over the trim for now. The second product I'm using is this Kendra hot spray. I'm only spraying a little bit on my ends and a little bit of the body. For my flat iron settings, I'm in between 30 and 35 for my heat, and I like to just go from bottom to top. I'm not really too particular about parting when I straighten my hair. I just make sure to work in fairly small sections. I tap my roots twice and I do one pass on the full length of my hair.
Freedom. The cut is not it. This cut is awful.
Now that we're finished with flat ironing, I'm going to go in with these heatless curls straight away. I like to do a zigzag part down the back of my hair, and I will tie up one side with a scrunchie while I work on the first side. I just grab a small piece at a time and wrap it around. I like to take my time and make sure each piece is wrapped around as tight as it can. And once I've worked all my hair around the rod, I will secure it with 2 scrunchies at the end, and then repeat that process for my other side, folding both of those little pieces back so that I can fit under my bonnet while I sleep.
I'm free. Okay, we have made it to the final stretch of this maintenance routine. Normally, when it comes to the little things that we're going to be doing, it's not a lot. It's just going to be some skincare. We're going to do these little phony eye patches and a face mask on my T-zone. Once I take this off, we'll do the very last step, which will be some lashes. Yeah, let's go and get this off. I'm excited to see how it looks. I'm not going to spray it or anything because I don't care too much to keep these in. If anything, I'll put it in the heatless curls again or just let them fall out. I don't know if I'm going to want it this curly. Wow, yeah, I definitely want these to fall out a little bit. It's pretty though. Okay, that's what we got. I think it's cute. It's different. I'm just gonna leave this on for like 15 minutes and then we'll take it off. Timer for 15 minutes. Hello everyone, it is a few days since I have completed my maintenance routine. I'm sitting here editing the video right now, and unfortunately I realized the audio from my outro, the original one, got messed up. So I just wanted to come on here and properly close this video out, give my final thoughts. I had a lot of fun with this process doing my at-home maintenance routine. This might be the fastest I've ever completed this. Normally I do it over a span of a week, and I think I did it in like 2.5 days this time around. But yeah, it was a much needed beauty reset, so I really do hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me over the last couple days in doing all this. I've done a few of these in the past if you want to check those out, more or less on the same theme of things. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out a different version of this process, I will leave those videos linked to show up at the end of this one, or I'll send one up across the screen. If you have been interested in trying out doing your own at-home maintenance, I highly recommend it. I save a lot of money doing this at home, and you can get real creative with this process. And you can learn anything on YouTube. That's where I literally learned all this stuff, just watching a bunch of videos of other people doing it and learning my own process on the way. And I will link all the products I use in case you're interested in checking those out. Those will be in the description if you're curious about certain brands I use or certain prices. My one recommendation if you do start this is to start small. You don't need to buy every single thing to start. All you really need is a few of the basics to dip your toes in. A lot of the times you can find this stuff bundled up into little kits. That makes it a lot more affordable when you're testing the waters on this stuff, because you might find out that you don't like it, and if you get a bunch of stuff and you don't like it, then you just wasted a bunch of money for nothing. But specifically with Amazon, it's good for returns, if I'm being honest, when you don't like something. That 30-day return, that comes in handy, trust me, because I'm not afraid to return something if it don't work out. But yeah, as always, all that stuff will be linked in the description, and if I missed something, feel free to comment it and let me know. Now, with all that being said, that's officially going to be it for this video. I know it was a long one, so if you're still watching, make sure to comment this emoji below just to let me know you made it all the way to the end with me. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting my channel. It really does mean a lot to me. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye guys.